To understand the heavens, you must first understand yourself, for the map of the cosmos is etched in your soul. There's an ancient idea whispered across millennia, carved into the temples of Egypt, hidden between the lines of sacred texts, and echoed in the chants of mystics. An idea so powerful, so all-encompassing, that once it is truly grasped, the illusion of separation between the inner and the outer world begins to dissolve. That idea is this: as above, so below; as within, so without. But what does it really mean? This phrase isn't just a poetic metaphor or a mystical riddle to be admired and forgotten. It is a key that unlocks the hidden architecture of the universe. A law of correspondence that reveals the secret symmetry between the macrocosm and the microcosm, between stars and cells, galaxies and thoughts, between what you see out there and what pulses silently within you. Right now, you might be walking through life assuming that the world is happening to you, that circumstances are random, that your body is separate from your soul, that your thoughts are just passing clouds. But the law of correspondence invites a radical shift. It suggests that the patterns you notice in your life aren't coincidences, they're echoes. That the challenges you face, the emotions you feel, the symbols that repeat, are all part of a grand mirror reflecting deeper truths. In this video, we're going to explore that mirror. We'll trace the roots of this Hermetic axiom through ancient history and spiritual traditions. Then we'll dive deep into its core meaning, not just philosophically but practically. We'll unravel how this law applies to your mind, your emotions, your body, and even the world around you. And most importantly, we'll uncover how to use this understanding to realign your life, elevate your awareness, and reconnect with the divine blueprint you were born from. So stay with me, because once you see the threads that connect all things, above and below, you can begin to weave a new reality, one that flows not from confusion but from cosmic coherence. Are you ready to see the reflection? Long before modern science began mapping atoms and galaxies, ancient sages were already charting the structure of reality, not with telescopes or equations but through symbols, intuition, and profound inner vision. Among the oldest and most revered of these seekers were the Hermetic philosophers, who believed that all existence was interconnected through a set of universal laws, immutable principles that govern both spirit and matter, mind and body, the divine and the mundane. At the heart of Hermeticism lies a collection of texts known as the Corpus Hermeticum, attributed to the mythic figure Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes, a composite of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. These teachings were not written for the masses. They were passed through secret schools and mystery traditions, reserved for those prepared to awaken from the slumber of the material world and remember their divine origins. One of the central axioms inscribed in these teachings is the phrase, "That which is above is like that which is below, and that which is below is like that which is above." This is not just a poetic flourish, it is a metaphysical declaration. It tells us that the same patterns, the same laws, the same essence animates all layers of reality, from the smallest particles to the furthest stars. The microcosm, man, is a reflection of the macrocosm, the universe. This law found resonance not only in Hermeticism, but also in countless other traditions. In the Vedas, the Upanishads speak of Purusha, the cosmic being whose body is the universe itself. In Kabbalah, the tree of life maps the divine structure as it manifests within the human soul. In Taoism, the Tao flows through both heaven and earth, harmonizing the two through its invisible rhythm. Even in early Christian mysticism, we find echoes of this idea in phrases like, "The kingdom of God is within you." The ancient Egyptians, too, embodied this law in their temples. The layout of their sacred structures mirrored the constellations above. Initiates would walk through symbolic chambers representing the soul's journey through the cosmos. There, priests believed that to alter the fate of a nation, one had to begin by purifying the individual, because the state of the inner world would ripple into the collective. This wasn't philosophy for its own sake. It was practical sacred technology. To understand the heavens, study yourself. To master the self, study the stars. The law of correspondence was seen not only as a truth, but as a tool, a map, a lantern in the dark. As we move forward, we'll begin to decode the deeper implications of this law. What does it really mean to say the inner world reflects the outer world? How do your thoughts, emotions, and even your physical body mirror universal structures? And how can this ancient wisdom empower you to transform your reality from within? To understand the law of correspondence beyond theory, we need to shift our perception from linear thinking to symbolic vision. This law tells us that every level of reality reflects every other level, like a hall of mirrors that stretches infinitely in both directions. The universe is not a hierarchy but a fractal, self-repeating, self-reflecting, and intricately woven with echoes of itself in every scale of existence. Let's begin with your body. At a glance, you might think of your body as merely flesh and bone, but within it lies a map of the cosmos. Your brain, for instance, contains a structure eerily similar to the nebulae photographed by space telescopes. The branching of your lungs mirrors the branching of trees, which in turn mirrors the branching of lightning bolts, rivers, and even galactic filaments. The blood that flows through your veins moves with the same rhythm as the tides governed by the moon. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field powerful enough to influence the energy of those around you, just as the sun's field shapes the very orbits of the planets. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, expressed in a unique configuration of skin, memory, and soul. Now take this even further. The emotions you feel are not isolated events. They ripple outward. Your internal state corresponds with external experiences. When you're in deep emotional turmoil, you may notice more conflict in your day. When you cultivate peace, synchronicities begin to arise. Doors open, people smile, the world responds, not because it's changing, but because you are changing and the outer reflects the inner. This is where the power of the law of correspondence becomes practical. Imagine your consciousness as a tuning fork. When you shift your internal frequency, your thoughts, emotions, beliefs, you begin to vibrate in harmony with different layers of reality. A mind steeped in fear sees a world of threats. A mind anchored in love witnesses beauty in the mundane. Your perception isn't just a lens, it's a magnet. It draws toward you people, events, and energies that mirror your dominant state of being. Hermetic sages taught that this correspondence is not merely symbolic, it is structural. The same principles that govern planetary motion also govern the cycles of your own life. Expansion and contraction, birth and death, chaos and order. Just as planets orbit the sun, your thoughts orbit your core beliefs. And when those beliefs are unconscious, the orbit becomes invisible, repeating patterns that feel like fate. This is why self-knowledge is sacred. Because when you understand what's happening below, within, you gain the power to influence what happens above, around you. In ancient mystery schools, initiates were not taught to control the world directly. Instead, they were taught to purify their thoughts, master their emotions, and harmonize their inner landscape. Because once that inner harmony is established, the outer world begins to shift in accordance, not through force but through resonance. In the next section, we'll go deeper. We'll explore what this law reveals about hidden patterns, the mechanics of manifestation, and why understanding the inner-outer mirror is the foundation of all true alchemy. We'll also touch on how this principle plays out in relationships, health, and even in the architecture of your reality itself. If everything in the universe reflects everything else, then every experience you encounter, no matter how random or chaotic it may seem, carries a message, a symbol, a code. The law of correspondence tells us that your outer life is a mirror, not just of your thoughts, but of your patterns, your shadows, your soul's curriculum. What appears to be out there is in truth a projection of what's happening in here. Consider relationships. The people you attract are often reflections of your internal state, sometimes mirroring your light, sometimes exposing your wounds. The friend who always needs validation may reflect the part of you that also seeks approval. The partner who triggers your deepest fears may be revealing an unresolved inner fracture. This is not punishment, it's correspondence. The universe is holding up a mirror, inviting you to see yourself more clearly through the image of another. Now, take a step further into the esoteric. In sacred geometry, patterns like the flower of life, the Fibonacci sequence, and the golden ratio are not just mathematical curiosities. They are the signature of correspondence woven into matter itself. The spiral of a seashell, the orbit of a galaxy, and the unfolding of a fern leaf all follow the same structure. This suggests that creation operates through universal archetypes, as above, so below, as in the stars, so in the seed. Even your dreams obey this law. Carl Jung understood this deeply. He spoke of synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that cannot be explained by cause and effect. These events are governed by correspondence. They occur when your inner world aligns so perfectly with the outer world that reality bends to reflect your symbolic truth. You think of someone and they call. You wrestle with a question, and the answer appears in the form of a book, a stranger's comment, or a dream. These are not accidents. They are signs, clues, portals. But here lies the paradox. The more unconscious you are of your inner patterns, the more chaotic the outer world seems. Life becomes a series of unexplained events, repeating cycles and frustrating limitations. But when you awaken to the mirror, when you begin to observe your reactions, your beliefs, your recurring emotional themes, you step into the seat of the alchemist, the one who transforms lead into gold, confusion into clarity, suffering into wisdom. This is why every spiritual tradition emphasizes inner work, because when the inner is purified, the outer aligns. You don't have to control the world. You only have to become a true reflection of the world you wish to see. In Hermeticism, this transformation is not passive. It is a conscious act of alignment. You begin to see the universe not as separate from you, but as made of you. Your breath, your heartbeat, your very awareness becomes a thread in the cosmic web. And the more attuned you are to your inner landscape, the more accurately you can navigate the outer one. In the final part of this journey, we'll explore how to use the law of correspondence, how to align your inner world with your desired outer reality. You'll learn practical methods for tuning your consciousness, for reading the signs of the universe, and for embodying the alchemical truth that you are both the map and the territory. So how do we actually live this law? How do we move from simply understanding that as above, so below is true, to embodying it, shaping our reality through the mirror of consciousness? It begins with observation, not of the world, but of yourself. The first and most essential practice is inner tracking. Start by noticing patterns, not in a reactive way, but with the calm precision of a mystic scientist. What emotions repeat in your life? What situations return again and again? In slightly different forms? Do you often feel abandoned? Do you struggle with the same type of conflict at work? Or attract the same kind of partner? These repetitions are not random. They are correspondences. They are the external expression of unresolved inner frequencies. To work with this, keep a symbolic journal. Not just for events, but for energetic themes. When something big happens, especially something emotionally charged, pause and ask, what is this reflecting? What does this mirror within me? But observation alone is not enough. The law of correspondence becomes transformational when we consciously shift our inner state to align with a higher pattern. This is where intentional resonance enters. Through practices like visualization, mantra, conscious breathwork, or meditation, you can begin to attune your internal world to reflect the reality you wish to create. For example, if you seek peace in your environment, you must first become the source of peace within. Cultivate stillness in your breath. Speak slowly. Simplify your thoughts. The outer world will begin to respond. A powerful technique is what some call mirror invocation. Stand before your own reflection, and instead of affirmations, ask questions that direct your subconscious. What in me has called this into my life? What within me is ready to be transformed? Then stay silent. Let the answer come from deep within. Often you will not need to force it. Your life will begin to answer for you. Another method, correspondence mapping. If you are facing a specific challenge in your life, a financial blockage, a health issue, a creative stagnation, explore what part of your inner world this might represent. Is the blockage a mirror of fear? Is the illness an echo of suppressed truth? Is the stagnation a reflection of avoidance? When you shift the inner relationship, the outer reality begins to move. Even your space can be used. Your home is a physical extension of your inner field. Decluttering a room, changing the position of objects, introducing symbols of harmony or transformation, These are not just aesthetic choices. They are rituals. They shift your inner alignment by shifting your interaction with your outer environment. But perhaps the most important and most overlooked practice of all is this: responsibility without self-blame. To work with the law of correspondence is to accept that life is always communicating with you. But this does not mean that pain is your fault or that every storm is a punishment. Rather, it is an invitation. The universe is not accusing you, it is revealing you. You are not broken, you are becoming conscious. When you embrace this perspective, even your suffering becomes sacred. Every difficulty becomes a doorway, and you stop reacting to life and start reading it, learning from it, co-creating with it. In the final section, we will tie it all together. You'll understand why this law is not just philosophical. It's the foundation of a life lived in alignment with divine intelligence. And you'll be left with a final reflection that may shift the way you see the world forever. There is a moment in every seeker's journey when the world stops feeling random, when the veil thins, when coincidences begin to stack like clues in a forgotten language, and you realize everything is connected. That moment is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of living in alignment with the law of correspondence. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, looking at itself through a human lens. Every heartbeat is an echo of universal rhythm. Every thought is a wave in the great ocean of mind. The stars above do not merely shine, they whisper, and the shape of your life is their reflection. When you begin to walk through the world with this awareness, something profound happens. You stop feeling like a victim of circumstance. You stop waiting for life to change. Instead, you start listening, reading the signs, rewriting the script from the inside out. Your relationships evolve, your health improves, your sense of purpose deepens. Not because the outer world bends to your will, but because you have attuned your will to the architecture of the divine. So here is the invitation. Do not simply admire the truth of as above, so below. Live it. Watch your thoughts as if they were seeds. Tend to your inner world like sacred ground. Speak as if your words sculpt reality, because they do. And when life sends you a challenge, ask, what part of me does this reflect? What lesson is hidden here? What is the universe trying to awaken in me? You are the microcosm and the macrocosm, the mirror and the reflection, the question and the answer. And when you align with that truth, you stop chasing miracles. You become one. If this teaching resonated with you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Each week, we explore ancient wisdom and spiritual practices that reveal the deeper forces shaping your reality. Let's walk this path together, one revelation at a time. The mirror is always speaking. The question is, are you ready to listen?